Hello, sports fans. Welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join our show. So glad to be here. Thank you for all that you do, all that you are. And it's Tuesday. We know what Tuesday is. Tuesday is the day of rest. It's the Sabbath for all of you folks that are in the religion of football. And it's the day where, of course, there is no football. So we like to take a day off, but we don't take a day off. Come on, who are we kidding? This is a great day to pontificate, to reflect, to assess, evaluate, figure out what our life means, and to make sense of all this craziness that is football. And it's always crazy. It's always dramatic. There's always something unbelievably like idiotic going on, and exciting at the same time. And there's nothing better. There's no better reality television than football. And I think professional football is the most reality part of reality, whatever television that you have in the world today. And here's my point. Okay, this is the worst week. I think that there is maybe in all of sports, and it's that dead week. It's the dead week between the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl, right? The conference championships, the Super Bowl, and it's the dead week. Now they're trying to really get us excited and do something and help us find a way through this week, because it's really like we just want to see the Super Bowl. That's really all we want. We want the Super Bowl, and then we want to have a day off after the Super Bowl. I mean, I can think of a lot of holidays that we have in our world today, and I would say I'll give up one of those. Like we don't even have to create a new one. We'll just trade one. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. I mean, I can think of a lot of them that we get. It's a national holiday. Like forget that. Let's just forget that holiday and do our football holiday. I'm not alone at this. I know there are millions of people that feel the same way. But right now we're in this dead week. And here's some news to explain why this is the worst week in all of football, the football season, and our sporting life. Shedeur Sanders, the hot topic, lightning rod suggestion or story, seems to always follow Shedeur, and it has now. He's been named to the Pro Bowl. Yeah, the Pro Bowl. Now let that sink in for just 1 minute. And this is not a knock on Shedeur Sanders. It's not a knock on, but it's a knock on the whole process. It's a knock on the Pro Bowl. It's a knock on this whole week that is the nothingness week, the embarrassment of the game that they have now, this flag football game. I don't know why everyone seems so excited about I mean, I guess the people that are watching, the 10 people that are watching the flag football game, Pro Bowl, to me is just an absolute embarrassment. I think it's Ray Nitschke has just rolled over in his grave, just like I can't believe this has happened. This is horrible. The Pro Bowl is horrible. The Pro Bowl was the thing. If you're a player in the National Football League and you said, I that guy's a Pro Bowler, like they meant something. The players voted on this. Of course, there's a fan vote, there's coaches vote, there's all this different, there's all these different people voting for it, and it's really it's something that's just kind of died. It's become a joke. It's become a parody. It's become unwatchable. It's become this embarrassment. And like, okay, there's a whole bunch of quarterbacks in the AFC. Now, Drake May was a Pro Bowler, and he is not anymore. And so they need a replacement. And Shedeur Sanders is the best replacement in the AFC that they could find. I mean, really, like, what about a guy like Trevor Lawrence? What about a guy like even like Tua? What about a guy like Joe Burrow? What about? I mean, you could go on and on and on and on and on and on, and still find someone. CJ Stroud. I mean, it's like Shedeur Sanders is your option, because here's what we're gonna have to hear. Now it's like, see, this guy got robbed out of being a first round draft choice because he made the Pro Bowl. Now look at this. He ended up starting for a team and he makes the Pro Bowl. And you're just like, and I don't want to hear it because his rookie year was not very good. And yes, he got to play, and I think it's wonderful. And I don't know if Shedeur Sanders is going to have a career in the NFL, but I don't want to hear that. See, this is validation for everything we've said. Shedeur Sanders belongs, in the Pro Bowl. It's like, who made this up? And if it's one of those things where, look, the name, it draws attention, it brings something, it moves the needle. I mean, if that's what you're trying to do, then that's an even worse embarrassment. You're saying, basically what you're saying is the game in and of itself, the fact that these players are selected as the top players in their positions, and that's not enough. We have to have like some sideshow, because there'll be, tons of media um, brought on this. There'll be massive discussions about it, and it's just, I just can't believe this is happening, and that's fine. Not really, but whatever. All right, we move on. Todd Monken, who of course was going to be the offensive coordinator with John Harbaugh at the New York Giants, reportedly might be the next Browns head coach. Now he's in the mix, as the headline said, and it is a mix. It's an absolute um oh gosh, disaster. Like, why can't you just do a normal process like anyone else in hiring your coaches if you're the Cleveland Browns? Why do you have to go through essays and do all these crazy things? And I, you know, he I'm trying to find out why there's a good reason that someone would actually go to the Cleveland. Why would you go, to the Cleveland Browns and be a head coach? What is, like, because now you're gonna have to deal with the Shedeur Sanders situation. The media is gonna force you to have to deal with that. You have, Deshaun Watson, who hasn't played for, like, ever, and who was a good player. Deshaun Watson hasn't played for so long, the league has actually changed. Like, the philosophy, the way things are done is just different. Like, he'll have to it's like he was put into a cryogenically frozen state, and he comes back in a different time. I mean, that's how long it's been since Deshaun Watson played, and did he lose his mojo? Is he back from everything that happened? I don't know. And who will know? But it's like, do you want to get into that? Now the Browns are going to have a good pick in the draft again. And what do you pick and who do you pick? Because there are good parts. They have a defense. This team has been to the playoffs. It's not the absolute worst disaster in the world, but it sure feels like it, and it probably is. Well, no, the Jets are the worst disaster in the world, but Cleveland's not far behind. And I guess if you're a coach, you want a shot at being a head coach. Who knows? I mean, Kevin Stefanski went there and he survived, and he's now a head coach with the Atlanta Falcons, and maybe it's just one of those you got to take your lumps kind of thing if you want to get on that head coaching carousel or consideration. So I guess that's what you do. In my head, I'm trying to figure out, like, what would ever possess a person to do that. Now you look at the Brown situation and you go, what is it? Like, because you I think people forget, Dylan Gabriel was the guy that was considered, I guess, more ready. I mean, he had he got injured, and it's one of those things where you can't make the club in the tub kind of thing. You got to get on the field. But what does he fit in this mix? Has Shedeur Sanders just absolutely given himself a chance to be considered the guy? I don't know. I don't know. It just, the quarterback situation with the Cleveland Browns, the whole makeup of it, including Deshaun Watson, is a hot mess. And I don't know how you work your way around it. I mean, what I mean, if let's just say if the Deshaun Watson comes back and he's like, all right, I'm a better player. I've worked through all this stuff, because at one point he was considered a really good player, and and everything just kind of went south. And so we'll see. because if he returns to the form that the reason they brought him there, and he gets the right coach, maybe he's one of those resurrection projects, like Sam Darnold. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, I wanted to get a little bit into kind of what excites me about this year's Super Bowl matchup against the Seahawks and the Patriots. And I think the thing that I like, the Super Bowls can be weird. Super Bowls can be extremely boring for two reasons: no scoring, or one team just blows out the other team. So to start with, for me, it's always about, is this a good matchup? Is this a good game? And I think it is, without getting into the X's and O's and say, well, I mean, because the Patriots, they got some issues on their offensive line, and they've kind of weathered through a little bit of their deficiencies, and I think the Seahawks, I don't think they're just an absolute lock. I mean, they're a really solid. Both these teams are really solid teams. I mean, there's no way around it. But what I really like about this, and I don't know that the media or the league per se likes this, because it's all about promoting marquee players. And you have redemption, you have unknowns, you have new head coaches who aren't, I think they're well respected, but they're just not the name. They're not Andy Reid, they're not Sean Payton, they're not some of these more well-known names, and that the NFL really likes to build its brand around. And so it's a bunch of fresh faces, and it's a bunch of, I don't know if it's a bunch, but it does have the element of cast-offs and rejects, and, people that I mean, here are all these people who have gone and just demolished Sam Darnold through the years. Like, they've just, bust, just, I mean, he was 3rd pick in the draft. And he's seeing ghosts, and he just bouncing around, and just on his farewell tour of being an early first round pick and a quarterback in the NFL who couldn't do it, who couldn't make it, who just didn't have it. And all these people say all these horrible things about Sam Darnold, and now he's in the Super Bowl. And now they have to sit there and they have to, oh, Sam Darnold, what a, and it's just that part of it to me is annoying, but and somewhat disingenuous, and kind of shame on you kind of thing. And that's just the nature of the NFL. They just, for whatever reason, want to destroy certain people, create a narrative about certain people, don't really look at the whole structure of why that person either succeeded or failed in that situation. And it's just kind of what moves the needle today, and what narrative can we promote our game around. And it's not, I'm not faulting them, it's just the way it is, because they're excellent at it. Like the NFL is an incredible product, and it's built on names, it's built on players, it's built on personalities, it's built on, and so it's hard for the NFL machine, and they'll do a great job. They'll spin this whole scenario into something that's, compelling and interesting, because I think it's very compelling. That's the reason that I like it so much, is that you have two teams with a whole lot to prove. You have two young coaches, you have two young quarterbacks, you have really players I don't think a lot of people know a lot about, from a national state. You think of now, um, some of the players have the potential to be, you know, very, very exciting and potential superstars in this Super Bowl, but they have yet to kind of, uh, you know, figure that out now. And I believe this will be the stage that could potentially propel people. So you have two quarterbacks, very different situation, and you have, how they got to the Super Bowl. And I just, to me, it's always fascinating to see where they end up. Like, where do they go? Like, where do they, where do they have, like, what does this game take? What is it, where does it take them? I mean, is this something that all of a sudden, because you look at Seattle and you go, they could be a player here for the next, 3 or 4 years or whatever. And you could probably say that about New England. Now, we all know how hard it is to get back to a Super Bowl, but they certainly can be in contention for everything. And they've certainly arrived on the scene. And so to me, just I believe this is going to be a great game because so many people have so much to prove. Even though, you look at a guy like Mike Vrabel, he was there as a player. It just feels so different. The New England Patriots with him in charge. It's just a very different, a different scenario. But I like these coaches and how they've really got their players to believe in um, who they are and believe in and that nothing was too big for them, that getting to and winning a Super Bowl was not an impossibility. And so often it's a mountain that I just think people can't climb and they can't see it happening. So it's fascinating. Now, in the past, there have been some players who have won a Super Bowl, and you don't hear a lot. They're kind of these one hit wonder type of, and I'm think of these quarterbacks that have done that. A guy like Brad Johnson, who won a Super Bowl and who was a very much underrated player, kind of always was in the shadow in the background and found a way, to get there. And there've been other, Jeff Hostetler, who was a backup, and so it never really equated into like an amazing long-term legacy in the NFL. Now, Brad Johnson forever says, I'm a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's it. And, Trent Dilfer is another guy that, was like that. And there've been others. And so, because everyone talks about, well, the standard is winning the Super Bowl, if you're going to be a great player, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you win it. And it's just kind of, yeah, I did that. And it never get and I think a lot of it is the NFL. Mark Rippon was a guy who, won a Super. Doug Williams. I mean, Doug Williams is there's always been a story behind Doug Williams as far as like his kind of the historic value of what him winning a Super Bowl meant. And but there's just been a decent number of players that for whatever reason they never really were able to, I don't know, capitalize on this, or the NFL or whatever. Never. I was always trying to figure out, like, Trent Dilfer is one for me, where he was in Baltimore and they win the Super Bowl. And then the next year they're like, we don't want Trent Dilfer around. We're going to get Elvis Gray back. And you're just like, well, wait a minute. You won a Super Bowl with this guy, and that's not good enough for you. And it's like, why can't you take that and build on that? And I never really ever understood the thinking. Now, it is, you know, of course, I never really understood the thinking of Brian Billick to begin with. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that. And regardless, the guy won a Super Bowl, and that should tell you a lot. So this game, part of what excites me about it is the aftermath, and which is what I'm kind of talking about here. Where what does it mean for the long term prospects of some of these people? And I think a guy like Patrick Mahomes, I think when he first came on the scene, I think people are like, okay, yeah, and he was incredible. Like, he was throwing the football in ways and places that no one tells you to throw the football. Like, you're not supposed to throw it there or like ever. And then there was like, how in the heck did he throw it there? And he just kept doing this consistently over and over, and it was just really exciting. And you really got behind Patrick Mahomes and what he was, but in the beginning you didn't. Like, it took a hot minute. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs were on this guy from day one, and they loved him, and they just, he was their guy, and so they saw it long before I think anyone else saw it. And I guess if you're around it and you've seen it before, like Andy Reid's seen, he knows, he's like, no, that guy's got it. but it takes a minute. So the question to me, or I guess the other is who of these players, like, is Drake May, because you see some young quarterbacks and they do well for a minute, and then they just kind of fade into the background. And like, is this the beginning of, for Drake May, a long run into being, put in that, hey, he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks or the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Who knows? We don't know yet today. He is there, and he did figure out a way to get to the Super Bowl, and they do like him a lot. And he'll evolve as a player, and he'll grow. And the same thing with Sam Darnold. I think, to me, the thing that I'm most excited about this game, I think for me, the storyline that I really wanna really, like, cheer for is Sam Darnold. Like, that's the thing for me about the Super Bowl that would mean the most. This is the story, because I love when people kind of stick it in the nose of the NFL, because I think the NFL sometimes can be absolutely arrogant and cruel and mean and unfair to players and situations, whether it's local media, whether it's an individual team. It's a cold hard business sometimes, and it's people's lives, and a lot, there's a lot of stories that end in heartbreak, and a lot of stories that die, and it's certainly disappointing for the individual. And guess what? No one cares. Like no one cares. I mean, we showed the statistic yesterday on the show about all the quarterbacks that were drafted. Not, I don't know, it was all of them, but it was the significant few. And Sam Darnold was the first to go to the Super Bowl, and Sam Darnold was, considered a bust, considered a lot of different things. So I think that, for me, it's the redemption of Sam Darnold, and how hard it is to kind of fight through a lot of the perception, because everyone gets a perception about them. Everyone gets this, oh, this guy is he's this player, he's a bust, he can't play, can't do this, can't do that. And no one, they're very, I shouldn't say no one, because he did get jobs. He did go to Carolina, he did go to the 49ers, he did go to Minnesota. So there were people that, to a point, believed in him, and they believed in him in the sense that, yeah, it's not going to hurt us to have you around. Maybe you do something. Maybe you, and what's going to happen in the NFL now is everyone's going to be looking for the next Sam Darnold. Where is he? Which one of these quarterbacks? And we're going to bring him in, and it could be Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson may benefit from this, because a very similar circumstance happened with Zach Wilson, and he just kept himself around long enough. And so for me, the story, and it's not necessarily a team, but I cheer for the redemption of Sam Darnold. So that's what I really, and there's a lot. I actually, it's kind of crazy, because I really like Mike Vrabel and what he's doing there as a coach, and Mike McDonald. I mean, there's not, I don't know there's much I can cheer against in the Super Bowl with both of these teams. I could sit here and argue about how are how great and what a wonderful story it is for any of these teams to win. So it's not like there's a villain in this Super Bowl. It's not like there's a team you go, man, I just don't want them to win. I mean, you could argue, well, the Patriots have just won forever, but it's different. It's not. It's a new era. It's a fascinating turn of events that's happened with the Patriots, and so I'm just super excited about the Super Bowl. Now, could we just get through this 1 week of having to hear about Shedeur Sanders being a Pro Bowler, and we'll be fine. We'll be on to the Super Bowl. All right, let's take a break. We come back. Some hot headlines, some crazy things happening in college football, actually, and I think this will be it's going to be a fun conversation. Kurt Signetti, his headset is up for auction, And I'm like, what kind of, I don't know, we're going to talk about what items does a coach wear on the sideline that you would be interested in buying as an auction item. We'll do that and so much more when the Down and Dirty returns.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back to the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here. It's a Tuesday. It's a day of rest. It's the Sabbath day for all of you football religionists. So if you're in the religion of football, it is the Sabbath day. Typically, it's the day there is no football. Of course, there's no football at all, and this is kind of the winding down part of the NFL, the college season. We're in that dead period, that horrible dead period. And they thought, well, we'll make the Pro Bowl during the period and get everyone excited. That just makes it worse, people, just so you know. Not excited, will not tune in, will not watch any of the Pro Bowl festivities. It has no significance to me, no meaning, no whatever. It's just I think the players have a higher probability of getting injured in a flag football game than in an actual real football game. And I understand the Pro Bowl, whatever. I guess it has its moment. All-star games in sports are a thing of the past, unless you're hockey. Hockey has figured it out, and I don't know how you do it in the NFL, but you certainly you just have an international competition. That's how you do it, and figured that out. All right. Here's some hot headlines for the day. Darian Mensah and Duke have actually settled their dispute. Now, this is kind of somewhat intriguing from the standpoint of this is the new college football way of life, right? As the player goes, hey, I'm going to stay in your program, and then on the very last day, I have decided that I'm going to enter the transfer portal, which is totally within their right to do it. But Duke is one of they're like one of the smart schools, right? Duke is a smart school, beautiful campus, beautiful school. Huge Duke fan, love Cameron Indoor. I love the Duke crazies, all that stuff. It's great. But they're also smart, and they go, okay, you want to sign an NIL deal with us? Great. Here's the deal. If you decide to leave because I think that's the biggest critique of all of this, and I think it's maybe the short-sightedness of the players. They just go, "I don't care about the future of your program. I don't care the optics of this. All I care about is getting mine." So many players who play college football aren't gonna go on and have success in the NFL. The numbers, clearly bear that out. There's 200 and whatever, 50-ish players that are drafted, maybe 270 a year out of the tens of thousands that play in college football. So the odds aren't very good. So if I have an opportunity to make money, to set myself up, to kind of not put all my eggs in one basket, to minimize my risk, to help myself make a spot in the world, who wouldn't do that? And so you can't necessarily fault the players, but you can also say, as far as it looks for college football, and it's going to be one of those things that changes it. And maybe this agreement that Duke had with the player is part of that change. And maybe we're just seeing that. Maybe this is just the evolution of what NIL portal football looks in college football. And that is, you're going to have an agreement. And if you break the agreement, there's going to be a buyout clause, some kind of arbitration clause, some kind of, you broke the agreement of the contract, a legal and binding contract that you signed, and which is, which is what this whole thing's been about. And it looks like they came to a settlement. And so I think that's great. It's wonderful that that's actually happened. But it's just one of those things where you go, this isn't what college football's been about. It's weird. It's school suing a player, which is just, kind of a new road, a new era to be in. Now, as I've thought through this, at first I was like, man, Darian did him dirty. And he waited till the very last minute, and he came out and declared, "No, I'm staying here at Duke." Duke won the ACC last year. It's not been known as a football power, but they've made some inroads, and anyone can make any inroads today. It doesn't matter if you're Duke or if you're Vanderbilt or you're Kentucky or you're Indiana. You can change the narrative with how things are. And so you're kind of like, it's dirty pool that he did this to them so late, right? The last day, after declaring I'm staying. But then, as I thought through this, he ends up going to Miami. That's where he's gonna end up playing. And you go, well, Miami was kind of in a tough predicament. They're playing for the national championship, which is in the middle of the NIL window. And you have to believe, and it's kind of hard for Miami because you want to win the national championship so bad. And so much of your energy and your focus and your attention is on getting your team ready to play for that game. And yet you're still looking, you're looking down the road. It's like, okay, what do I got next year? Who do I get? I can't miss out on any of these players. And so Miami was in a tough situation where they were, maybe not 100% focused on NIL situation. I'm sure there's a process that they're juggling as many balls in the air as they possibly can. I mean, you have to, right? Because recruiting is your life in college football. But it's one of those things where you go, okay, well, we got 3 or 4 guys that we really like in the portal at quarterback, and this guy went, well, we're kind of off that guy, and all of a sudden you get kind of desperate because you realize college quarterbacks are the key. Like, with all these big time programs, they're like, that's the guy we're going to go after because we have all the other parts. We have a great edge rusher. We have talent. If we're Georgia or we're Ohio State or we compete in those areas. So we're not necessarily out, but the quarterback for us can move the needle in a huge way. Like that is the way that it'll be a very different deal for us if we can get the right guy there. And so a lot of the competition for these big time programs is for the quarterbacks and the guys that are out in the market. And you look at some of these great players, this Brendan Sorsby, or you look at Sam Levitt and kind of where they went, and and so people know, and it's just done. So there was a side of me that I'm just like, that it really stunk that what this player did, and of course the school said, oh well, we have a contract here. You're going to honor the contract. You're going to and it sounds like they came to a reasonable resolution to it. I still think it puts Duke in an unfair position, and I think that's the way you probably have to look at it in college football today. You have to just say, we have to have contingency plans. We can't just assume, even though something's been said by a player. We need to know, okay, what if this player doesn't show up here? Which I think is so hard because everyone's waiting for, okay, well, you got a player on the hook, and you go, you're our plan B, and do you tell them that they're plan B because they go, I want to be plan A, and I'll go somewhere else to be plan A than be your plan B, and so you get a bunch of alphabet soup stuff going on, and you're just and by the way, that was kind of I don't know if you've ever seen alphabet soup, but it literally the little noodles are little numbers. They're alphabet figures. Anyways, cool thing. It's messy though. So glad it got resolved. It's just another one of those indicators of the chaos and craziness that is college football today. Now, speaking of craziness, and I want Martin, because I'm gonna ask him some questions about this next story. So Kurt Signetti, of course, the hottest name, the hottest coach in all of college football. Really, one of those. It'll be fascinating to see what he did and the impact it will have on college football moving forward. Does it really give everyone hope? Is it a one-hit wonder? Is this the new world of college football? Right now, Kurt Signetti is college football, and it's at Indiana. There was an auction, and the headset that was worn by Kurt Signetti in the college football title game is being auctioned, and it's being sold. And it's in the tune of about $5,000 right now. I don't know if that goes up or it goes down. And it got me to thinking, like, would you pay money to have his headset? Like is a headset the kind of thing? I don't know. Martin, is that the kind of thing? Do the kids these days dig headsets worn in a national championship game? And is that something that you would be interested in actually purchasing, provided
You
that you had the money to purchase it?
provided I had $5,000 for absolutely no reason and throw my name in the bidding, I'd say why not? I mean, there was there was reports of like game worn stuff after Kobe Bryant passed away. Unfortunately, that was yesterday for anybody who remember that. That was 6 years ago in
Oh,
2020.
wow.
There was game worn jerseys, game worn wristbands, headbands, anything they could find that Kobe wore that were being sold off at auction as well. Yeah, I mean, people buy the most obscure things on an auction site. I'm a fan of car racing and in old NASCARs or Formula One cars or Indy cars or just like the belts that they wore, the lug nuts that went on the wheels, the steering wheels,
Quarter panels.
the shifters, like
Yep.
everything was sold off at auction. And yeah, people bought them. So
Yeah.
I would buy the headset. Why not? Put it on a placard and hang it up on my wall and be like, hey, what is that? That's Kurt Signetti's national championship worn headset when he won the national championship for Indiana. Like, yeah, why not? I
Yeah.
mean, if you have obscure money, buy obscure things.
I think you mentioned the NASCAR and all that. Like, it's a big deal. Like, if you can get a quarter panel signed by Dale
Yes.
Earnhardt Jr., man, you're and folks wanted it, and it's
Yeah.
and you could imagine just having that hung on your wall for some reason, and it's a cool thing. I think part of it uh, that would be intriguing to people is that there's DNA on it, right? So he probably sweated in the headsets, or you think about, and I believe there's probably a microphone that comes along with the headset, and so he spit into the microphone. I know this sounds kind of gross to people, but that's the thing. It's like we want we want that that personal nature of this, that it's, it's part of that moment, that big moment. And really, I think Indiana winning the college football national title is such a, a unique. I mean, maybe Nick Saban's after his third or fourth national championship, no one really cares, but kind of an iconic one like that, and maybe they do. I mean, I'm sure there are Alabama fans out there that would be more than happy to have something worn by Nick Saban, which kind of got my brain working about what coaches and what coaching items would you be interested in at auction. Now, I can tell you one that I think to me that would be, and this is any coach. So the NFL, college, whatever. I would love to have like a play sheet. In fact, a play sheet of the Super Bowl, like from like Andy Reid. I'd love to
Yeah,
have his
that
play
would be fun.
and have it autographed by Andy Reid and maybe Patrick Mahomes, little Travis Kelsey there. That to me would be an item that I go, that's pretty cool.
I say my top two are one of them is the same as yours. I want to play sheet. I want to see what they were, calling during the game. And obviously, I'm a Chicago Bears fan. Every Bears fan, I promise you, would spend obscure money for this. If anybody could get their hands on Mike Ditka's, Dub
Oh,
Bears sweater from the '85 Super
oh,
Bowl, I would
oh,
spend absolutely
uh,
every dollar I had, every cent I had. I would sell everything I got just to put that on my wall and say, "Look, I got Mike Ditka sweater from the Super Bowl in New Orleans."
that's a good one. And
That
that's
would
like
be
that's the worst Christmas sweater you've ever seen that's not a Christmas sweater. Like it's just
absolutely.
yeah, it's just the absolute tackiest, most yeah, and I thought of some of these other one. Jim Harbaugh famously wears cleats on the sideline, and I think I'd want like Jim Harbaugh's khakis with a pair of his cleats from when he was coaching at Michigan. I think that would certainly be a fun. The speaking of coaches, Coach Shula had a trunk, and so you know how they have those like trunks,
Yeah, the
and
chest
they
plate
have
trunk.
the
That's
they have
yeah.
the wheels on them, and it's where they hold equipment. And they wheel them out on the sideline for games, and so Coach Shula had one on the sideline, and it was he had all different kinds of attire, and it was kind of funny. So he had his own trunk. Basically, it was Coach Shula's wardrobe box, and so it was like sunglasses, it was hats, it was a jacket, it was all these different things, but it was specifically for Coach Shula. Like if you're a player and you're on the sideline, you go to the equipment guy, go, man, I need a jacket. He just goes and pulls one out for you, and you can get whatever. But with Coach Shula, he had his own, and he had different pairs of shoes. And Shula was interesting because he was very stylish. Like what he wore on the sideline was like very important to him, and if he definitely wanted to look good on the sideline. Most coaches wear like shoes, like tennis shoes, right? And Coach Shula had dress shoes, so he'd have like a golf shirt and really nice. Like he wasn't into khakis. He wasn't like he had very nice. Almost dress pants and shoes. And so it was this funny kind of look, and it worked, and it was Coach Shula. But yeah, there were many wardrobe changes with Coach. I think the glasses for me with Shula, like Tom Landry, Tom Landry's fedora, like that would be a fun one for me.
That would be a fun little one to the collection. I agree with that. The glasses, yeah, Don Shula sunglasses. That's always memorable.
There's another, and I don't know that he's uh, you know, the most iconic one, but Steve Spurrier always wore one of those advisors, right? and he was a guy that he did kind of famously, because most people didn't wear a visor, either wore a hat or he just didn't wear anything at all, and he just had this visor, and for some reason, I just had this thought about having um, a visor from Steve Spurrier. I think would be another one. Now, is there anything like I know you're a Bears fan, but is there a coach out there like you would want? Like I guess headsets are cool. I guess the play sheet is cool. A sweater's cool.
Yeah,
Harbaugh's cleats are cool. His
yeah.
khakis is there just a coach you go, I don't care what item it is, maybe it's a shirt worn by him or something. But is there one coach out there you go, man, I don't care what it is. I just want an article from this coach.
It's not in the NFL. It's in the college basketball. My favorite college basketball coach is Jim Valvano, the one that
Oh,
led
oh,
NC
yeah,
State to the
yeah.
'83 title. Unfortunately, he passed away from cancer. But all of his blazer jackets, his funny looking suits and ties. If I could get one of those blazers, if I can get one of those like just suit sets, that'd be something I spend my money on as well. I mean, I just his '83 run was amazing. I follow the story, and yeah, I would buy one of those Jim Valvano's funny little suits. That would be one right at the top of the list.
I think for me, and I'm going to pick two. All right, and I'm going to pick two from one from college, one from the NFL. And for me in college football, I'm going to go all the way back to Bear Bryant. And I would love to. I don't know why I'm into fedoras, but I would love to have Bear Bryant's fedora when he was at Alabama. He was kind of, I don't know. He really had a huge impact in college football in a lot of ways. And but I don't know. Bear Bryant is that fedora. So I got a Tom Landry. I got Bear Bryant. But for me, it would be anything that Vince Lombardi wore. Maybe it's his whistle, and I don't know that he had his whistle like during a game, but anything from Vince Lombardi, I'd pay crazy money for just because it's Vince Lombardi, and that's who he is. All right, let's take another break, and then when we come back, Martin has a fun game for us. He always puts together these really challenging and tough would you rather scenario. So we're going to go through that. And at the top of the hour, we got some guy named Ty Detmer, Heisman Trophy, longtime NFL player, is going to join the program in just a few minutes. So would you rather is right around the corner.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us in our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. from the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty here with Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us. So glad you could join us right now because it gets no better than what we have going on. Of course, we have Ty Detmer joining the program, longtime NFL quarterback, and of course had an incredible career at BYU, Heisman Trophy winner. He's gracious enough to join the program, and along with that, he's a pretty good dude. So, Ty, how you doing today? What you up to?
Doing great. Back in Gilbert, Arizona, here at school. We're coaching our middle school kids, 7th and 8th graders right now. We play tackle, kind of an off normal fall ball. We coach them in the winter, so we have a little more field space and coaches to work with. So that's a lot of fun getting the young guys going.
So is that kind of part of your strategy when you're developing your program as you work with the younger kids and coaches? And
it is for sure. You know, it keeps them in the pipeline. They learn our system terminology, so when they get to high school, they're kind of up to speed, and the learning curve is a lot quicker. So it's been really good for us the last few years.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. And I would imagine that they might enjoy playing football now than in the fall, you know, when the weather is not 115 degrees. And so
we practice in the mornings. It's low 40s, not bad, you know. So yeah, definitely you'd rather be playing now than August.
So I just did a segment, and it was I'm going to mix two segments. So we were talking about these auction items, like these coaches. So Kurt Signetti, who just won a national championship, they're auctioning off his headset, right? And it's like going for pretty big money. And then we did another segment, would you rather? So I'm gonna mash two segments together and give Ty Detmer a would you rather segment on a coach's item that he could purchase. And maybe he doesn't want to do this, but we'll have a little fun with it. So, all right, here's my scenario. Would you rather have an article from Lavelle Edwards, or your coach in college, of course, one of the greatest coaches in college football, or would you rather have an article from one of your and I'll let you pick the coach because you actually played for a lot of it. I was going to say Mike Holmgren. I'm going to go with Mike Holmgren. So would you rather have an article from Mike Holmgren or Lavelle Edwards? And what would that item be?
Man, I mean, Lavelle wasn't known for his style. I think Mike had a little better style than Lavelle, but you know, with Lavelle and the memories there and everything, I'd love to have a reminder of him again, and something that he had. I have no idea what that would be. You know, maybe some of his old golf clubs or something like that.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
Maybe as long as you don't have to wear it. You know, I mean,
yeah, right, exactly. You know, I was going to ask you this question later on, but you mentioned golf. Are there other sports that you enjoy? Or did you play other sports when you were growing up?
Yeah, you know, I lettered. Well, I was all region or all district in basketball. I was all state in baseball. I played on the golf team. That was like a day out of school, just so you could get out of school. I wasn't very good in high school. And then I ran track just to try to get faster, but I wasn't very fast. So so I actually lettered in 5 sports in high school.
Holy cow.
So I love playing everything. My dad was that way growing up. He was a good athlete, good at everything. And so that was just the way of life. You know, you played each season and look forward to the next sport that was up after the following one.
I want to go back to Lavelle for just a second. And he's a relative of mine. I don't know if you know that or not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny world of events here. What do you think made him so great?
You know, I was actually talking to Matt Johns. He's the quarterback coach at Utah State. And we were just talking yesterday kind of, you know, about Andy Reid and why he's been so successful with certain quarterbacks. And Lavelle was real similar, where I think both those guys allow quarterbacks to play and to have a little freedom in the system to do what they do best. And Lavelle allowed me kind of that freedom, between him and Norm Chow. They didn't try to put me in a box and it's 1, 2, 3, throw it away. It might be 1, 2, 3, scramble around and try to find somebody. With that, there's some big mistakes. And Andy had Favre in Green Bay, and then Donovan in Philly, and now Mahomes. Those guys make some mistakes, but they also win you a lot of games just by allowing them to do what they do best. And so Lavelle's demeanor, just, he allowed guys to play and play loose and free and not always looking over your shoulder.
That's how Shula was. I mean, I when I got drafted, they gave me a playbook from day one and said, you call your own plays in practice. And we do that so you'll learn the plays, but also that you'll call plays that you're confident that you can have success in. And very similar. And it's very effective. Like it worked well. Do you do that with coaching now? Is that something? And what kind of success do you have with that?
Yeah, I was telling Matt, I'm like, I don't know, maybe, there's times where you want to give a guy some freedom, and then you're like, no, what are you doing? And then, they make a great play and you're like, okay, good job. So you try to be that way somewhat, but when you become a coach, you fight that temptation to just structure everything and tell them where to go with the ball and what to look at. And between that and give them too many things to look at too, Right. So I feel like, because I played that way a little bit, that I try to be a little more lenient, err on the side of giving them a little more freedom and things to look at than try to put them in a box,
Okay, this is the pressing question everyone wants to know. What's the deal with the Heisman House? I haven't seen you in the Heisman House much. How do you get in the Heisman House? What do you have to do?
I did some commercials probably 15 years ago, and I did a couple, and I must not be a very good actor, so I haven't been asked back. So I had my one shot and blew it, I guess, but that's okay.
I think your wife thinks you're good. I mean, you've fooled your wife for a long time, so maybe I don't know, but I don't know how bad an actor you are. But
yeah, I have been acting a lot there. So
are you staying away from the fast food? That's what I want to know. I know.
No,
he was on you about the fast food.
Yeah. So I it's fun to watch those commercials and see those guys in New York when they have the announcement, but they get the big timers in there now and the popular guys. So I'm okay not being on there.
I think you were back at the Heisman ceremony this year. Am I right about that?
Yep.
How often do you go back? Is it something you always go back to, or is it, and what's it like? Do you enjoy that?
I do. I'm not a fan of New York City, just people wall to wall. You get all kinds down there, but to be back and with the guys and to be a part of that experience is always something you appreciate and enjoy. So I try to get back every year, but it's right in the middle of hunting season. We get done with football and then hunting season. And so I'm like, all right, are we hunting or are we going to the Heisman this year? And went back this year. I'm kind of right in the middle now. So if you look, they kind of got the guys that won it in the 2000s, 2010, and then you got the 70s over on the other side. And I'm kind of in that sweet spot now where you get a lot of TV time because you're in the middle. But once you move to that right side over there, it's like game over. You're like feeling really old then. So
you're getting close.
The guy on the left.
You're getting close. As the decades go on, you'll be more sweet. Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman Trophy. What's your take on him and just really the rise of Indiana and the improbability of all of that? Your thoughts. And does his game translate, into the pros?
So great young man. Got to sit by him on our Sunday when they present the trophy to him. And just, awesome young man. So, saying all the right things, doing it the right way, crediting teammates, all those things. You feel like he's got a great head on his shoulders. As far as, his game translating, obviously, as a quarterback, you got to have some guys around you. And so if he's the number one pick and you don't have a lot to work with around you, I'm not sure he's a guy that's going to create plays and do some things on his own as much as running an offense and being structured a little more. So that remains to be seen. But, whoever takes him is going to get a great young man, a guy that's going to come in and work hard and try to earn people's respect and try to become a leader in that locker room. So hard to tell. A lot of it just depends on where you end up.
It sure feels that way a lot. I mean, speaking of ending up in the right situation, Sam Darnold, third pick in the draft, bounces around, keeps himself relevant long enough to get in the right situation. What's kind of your take on Sam Darnold, his kind of resurrection and his ascent to the Super Bowl? It's incredible to me, but I'm just curious what you feel about it.
Yeah, you kind of stated it perfectly. Kind of hung in there, kept his nose to the grindstone, and worked and stayed ready, and finally got an opportunity, got the right pieces in place, a young coach, dialing it up, and he's making plays for him. So, I think, being a top pick kind of hurts you sometimes because you go to a spot that's not a very good team
Right.
a lot of times, and to be able to get out of there and hold it together. Not a lot of guys hold it together and their confidence gets shaken and they're not able to get back to that high level of play, but he's been able to do that, and fun to watch, a guy get that second chance. And now, sky's the limit with him. He's going to get paid and be a leader on that team for a long time, probably.
So go back to you were in Green Bay, Brett Favre, and of course he's drafted by Atlanta. The stories that Jerry Glanville didn't really like him, and he goes to Green Bay, and you're there, Favre, kind of the beginning of Favre. Like, did you feel like, oh yeah, this guy does he have it? And the reason I ask is so Don Mikowski was the guy that got injured, and Don and I played in Detroit, and he goes, I can't believe that Favre, man. He just throws these interceptions all the time. And he was a little bitter, let's face, because he was the magic man. And so did you see Brett Favre as this, like, who Brett Favre became, or did he have to grow on you?
He had to grow on you. There was a point, Mark Brunell was there with us too. Year two, I was there with Don and Brett, year one, and then Mark comes in, was there for 2 years with us. And that second year, there was a time I think Brett was leading the league in interceptions. You got to look. Mike Holmgren had Steve Young and Joe Montana, two of the greatest to play, most efficient, like smartest guys. And then he gets Brett, and balls were going places they'd never gone in the West Coast offense before. And I remember that first year when he took over for Don. There was a meeting. Mike Holmgren never was in our quarterback meeting after a game, and Mike's like, "I'm watching the film with the quarterbacks. We played the Giants, and like I said, the ball was going places never had gone with the other guys." And Holmgren is just asking Brett, what did you see here? And he's like, I don't know. I just kind of felt the guy open. And he's like, okay, next one. What'd you see here? Just saw it out of the corner of my eye. And Don's over there and he's just looking at me, just like shaking his head, like, this is a professional quarterback, he's just seeing things, and we lost. It was an ugly game, and then, so, to Holmgren and everybody's credit, they stuck with him, gave him that opportunity to grow into it. I think they could see the arm talent, the leadership qualities he had, and then he just had to pull it all together mentally. And so there was a time there where they were talking about, starting Mark, starting me a game, trying to do something to light a fire under Brett, or just go in a different direction. And we played the Bears. It was a rainy Monday night football game, windy, rain. Only a guy like Brett probably, with his arm talent could put one through the wind, and he ended up making a long touchdown run. Kind of broke a tackle, goes down the sideline, and we won big. And from that point on, it was like the lights turned on. He was great the rest of the season playing, and that game kind of, I think, really boosted him, his confidence, everything, and we just took off on a run from there on. But I'm sure with Holmgren, it was like, man, this guy is killing me. What is he doing? And just having to kind of put up with it and give him those opportunities. To their credit, they did, and he became a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I watched it, from a different perspective, and you get a lot of crossover, a lot of game film, and we'd watch it and you just go, wow, what? and I think about being in Detroit and going, if I threw that many interceptions, like like we actually play pretty well and have a pretty good offense, and I don't know that I could move in this. Like I got booed as it was. It was just amazing. And I was so envious of that he had a coach that was really behind him and just stuck with it. I mean, and it really says a lot. And I'm very envious in a lot of ways of having someone to just really believe in you. But as I'm sitting here listening to you say this, what was that like for you, being around all of these guys who, coaches? I mean, Mark Brunell is a great player. Did some amazing things with Jacksonville. I always really liked Mark Brunell's game, and so you're there, and Jim McMahon comes in. You have Andy Reid, you have John Gruden. I believe I don't know if you were there with Mariucci. All those guys. I mean, what the heck was that like? That had to have been incredible.
Sometimes you feel like you're in the perfect place at the perfect time, and that was Green Bay at that time. Holmgren brought that staff together. Mariucci was our quarterback coach. Andy Reid was coaching tight ends. Gruden was kind of an offensive quality control the first year, and then took over the receivers. You had Dick Duran, who was a head coach with the Bears. Ray Rhodes was running the defense. It really was a great staff of young guys that were up and comers, and they learned a lot from Mike and took a lot of what he did with them any place they went. And with all those guys going different places, that always kind of gave me a home place to go, because they knew me. They knew I was going to prepare and be ready if needed. But it was the perfect place to go at that time, coming in as a rookie and getting your foot in the door, and then getting to know those coaches along the way.
I've never asked anyone that's played. So I had former teammates. Jeff Dellenbach played there. Doug Peterson. We were team, and I never. What was Green Bay like? Like to play, and now I know it's probably good for you because there's a lot of really good hunting in Wisconsin and all that stuff. But what was it like?
It was a college town. I mean, our first mini camp, I'm in the hotel, and you hear like a weather statement, beep, 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 beep. And you think like, oh, is there a tornado coming? What's going on? It's like center James Campen re-signs with the Packers. It was like the center,
Wow.
So it was like breaking news, so the TV station, everybody was dialed into the Packers. It was anything that happened was big news. So it was really, if you're coming from Provo, Utah, I don't know if you want to start your career in New York and try to navigate that. Green Bay, you could live 15 minutes from the stadium and you were out of town. And it was the perfect place to go for me, hunting and fishing, golf in the summer, to go and to, be able to rent a duplex for $700 a month, and to navigate, traffic and all those things. There wasn't any, it was a great place to play. Love the fans there. Love the atmosphere. Just the tradition there, all that went into it. It gets a bad rap for the weather. It was cold, but overall, it's a great football city and fit me perfectly.
Speaking of weather and how, so I look at this AFC Championship game, and it's almost unplayable conditions, and it's almost unwatchable. Like, I don't know, do you really want to watch this? And is it really fair And I'm just curious, how should the NFL handle like weather? Should we just get rid of it altogether? What are your thoughts on weather and its impact on NFL games?
It's tough because you want to have the home field advantage, but I always wondered, like Chicago had the late game, I think the weekend before.
Right.
It's like, why are we playing a night game in Chicago when they could play the early game, where it might be a little more decent weather and not just bitter cold? Because it's really kind of does a disservice to guys that have worked all season to get to that point, and then you have no shot. You look at Sidham with Broncos, here he's making his first start and having to play in that, and you're feeling all the weight on your shoulders, and man, it's like, give me a chance, a little bit here. So that one's a hard one because you do want to have home field advantage through the playoffs, and it's just bad luck of the draw that weekend. But it does make a difference, having to try to play in it and try to be successful. And actually, guys are dropping balls and slipping all over the place. And like you said, it's kind of hard to watch at times. You're almost watching to see what bad things are going to happen to people.
Yeah. And, they brought this up about the jersey color, that here the Patriots are in all white, and you're just like, I think it'd be harder to see them in those situations. I do with the billions of dollars in the NFL today. It's just like, come on, can you, don't you want to see the very best of what this product can be in these big games, or even just every week? It's like, take the weather out of the game, and they have stadiums, they can do that and still open them up, and when the weather's nice, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
How much are you worth in college football today? Like what and would you ever see yourself leaving BYU back in the day? And let's say you go to Miami, or you go to one of these teams that's winning national championships. What's Ty Detmer's worth in college football today?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, after winning the Heisman and come back for your senior year, you probably would have had a pretty good payday somewhere. I've told people I would like to think I would have been loyal to Lavelle because I love that guy, but he probably would have been the one telling me to go. New Skin can only pay you $100,000. You might ought to go somewhere where you're making $1 million, because you're not going to get drafted very high. That would have been my opportunity to put a chunk of money in the bank, and not knowing if I was even going to be able to play in the NFL, knowing going to be a 9th round draft pick. Like, take the college money, try to get injured week 10 so you can get a hardship and play a 6 year.
Right.
So 6 or 7, play 6, 7. You get like Carson
strategy.
So I don't know. I mean, it would have been a tough situation because, if the school you're at can't even come close to what somebody else is going to offer you, you almost have to go, and you understand why players do, but especially if you're not going to probably have the greatest opportunity in the NFL.
All right. So what if Utah offered you $4 million to leave Provo? And would you go to Utah?
How much is BYU offering?
Well, it's a New Skin deal, And by the way, is that how much New Skin paid you when you were at BYU?
Yeah, I think that was the only big company in Provo at the time. That's why I mentioned that.
Yeah, that's a name right there.
Yeah. No, man, it would be hard. You look at some of these quarterbacks that are moving and leaving, and if BYU's in the ballpark or close, or maybe not as close as you'd like, I think that situation fit me perfectly. If I go to somewhere else, if I go to Miami, I may not have a very good season. Who knows what happens, and then you're done for sure. So I'd like to think, being level-headed, you stay in the system that's making you successful, and you make one more run, and but it can't be like a quarter of the money you'd maybe make somewhere else.
All right. What is your take on your beloved Cleveland Browns and their quarterback situation? By the way, Shedeur Sanders was just named to the Pro Bowl. Is Shedeur Sanders a Pro Bowl player? How do you handle it? You got Deshaun Watson coming back. You got Dylan Gabriel. You're going to have a new coach. How do you handle the situation? Do you go back to alumni events with the Cleveland Browns, by the way? I'm just curious.
I've never been back. No.
Never been back.
I get the invites and things, but I'm too cheap to pay my own way over there. So I don't know, man. It's a mystery because you look at all the quarterbacks that have played there and been on the list, and there's some good players, some guys that have done good things other places, and Baker Mayfield, what he's doing in Tampa Bay, it's kind of one of those places where the coach is always on the hot seat and always feeling the urge to play the next guy and to try something different. And I think at this point you got to go with Sanders and give him the opportunity to develop, or you're going to be right back where you have been. You're going to try Deshaun Watson and you're going to try Sanders, and then Gabriel's there, and you got to kind of pick a guy, like to Brett Favre's point, pick a guy and give him a chance to grow into it.
So you've played a lot of places in the NFL. Which one did you enjoy the most?
Green Bay probably be my favorite place. San Francisco, that was I enjoyed it there. Great year. Mariucci was the head coach, got to back up Steve. You're playing with Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Merton Hanks and Tim McDonald, and some great players on that team. But probably Green Bay, just with the tradition and the atmosphere there was a great place to play. I would have to say Detroit was probably my least favorite. I know you had some good years there, but we did not when I was there. And that city was run down a little. It was not in a good place when I was there at the time, but it's been fun to see them be more successful here.
So you were post Pontiac Silverdome, right?
My last year was at the Silverdome.
Oh, it was?
It was. My first year.
Your first year.
There was the last year of the Silverdome.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't that just a fun place?
We actually got locked in there on 9/11. We had that was a 9/11 year, and they had a Ryder truck that was parked in the parking lot one day that next week at practice, and the SWAT had to come, bomb squad, and we got locked in the Silverdome for about 3 hours after practice and meetings and everything. So it was an interesting place at that time.
Yeah, it was an interesting place. I got a lot of stories I could tell you about Detroit. And there's a lot of good stuff too. It's just I can't complain at all about my whole time in the NFL. Are Philly fans really that bad? Because I hate Philadelphia. I hated going there and playing. I hate their fans. I just want to know, are they really that bad?
When things are good, there's probably no better place. When things are bad, there's no worse place. You got people bringing signs of the game to fire everybody. They're very opinionated and they like to share their opinion. So I'd have to say, yes, it's not a great place to play if things aren't going well, but it's kind of getting that way everywhere nowadays. But Philly, I think they take pride in it now. They're known for it, and they have to hold that reputation. So they go a little overboard with it at times.
Still hate them. So Super Bowl, last thing I have for you today. What do you like about this year's matchup in the Super Bowl?
I kind of like it's two teams that came out of nowhere. That probably weren't even close to being predicted to be in it. So they're both playing at a high level here at the end of the year. Love Vrabel and his fire and passion, and the interactions with the players you see him having on the sideline. Seattle's just that solid team that's making plays. They got some dynamic players, a running back and that receiver, tough to handle in space, and you're pulling for Darnold to have that Cinderella season and come out of nowhere. So I don't really have a favorite in it. I'm just hoping it's a good game and get to watch some good football, and both teams are intriguing. So.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I'm excited to watch it as well. So always a pleasure. I really appreciate it. I'd love to talk to you. I could ask you a million questions for a million hours. You're always great and gracious.
You too. I never get to ask you about some of those things in Detroit. You're always the interviewer. So I got to catch up with some of the Barry Sanders, Wayne Fonts stuff,
Oh, boy.
Fonts seemed like a great coach to play for, too. He seemed like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll have you back on, and instead of asking, you can just ask me questions. Like,
there we go. I want to give you some would you rathers.
Oh yeah, I'd love it. Yeah, we'll do that.
All right.
I'm seriously. Would you do that? Because I'd be happy to. Yeah, just ask me whenever. I'll
There
do
you
that.
go. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna make that happen. I'm gonna call your agent. We'll set it up.
There you go.
All right. Good luck with that football.
All right. Thanks, man.
Be good. Thank you. There you have it, folks. Ty Detmer, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, all around amazing guy. So fun to talk to Ty. He's just the best. And of course, played in the NFL for a long, long time and has great insight. More to come here on the Down and Dirty when we return. I believe we have, Mike Vrabel is one of a very few coaches who've actually played in the Super Bowl as a player and now has a chance to win it. He'd be the only one to do it if he did. We'll talk about that so much more when we return here on the Down and Dirty.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets Scratch Defense Extreme Non-Stick that won't scratch, ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Matt Piffle, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiffle.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty. Hope you're getting down and dirty today, and it's in a good way. It's always in a good way. Getting down and dirty is just always a good thing. So, and you can take that for what you want. We love to bring you sports the way it should be, and that's down and dirty. I believe we have some breaking news happening in the world of sports. Joe Brady has been named the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Offensive coordinator there. My first impression is it looks like Josh Allen got his way. I don't know. Martin, could you please fill us in on the details of what's going on with the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, so reportedly, the Buffalo Bills interviewed Josh Brady yesterday afternoon for their head coaching job. He was one of the candidates for the head coaching job. Also, who was a candidate for the head coaching job was their former offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll. So it looks like Joe Brady beat out Brian Daboll for the head coaching position in Buffalo. It is a 5-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. Joe Brady served as their offensive coordinator for the last 3 seasons under the Buffalo Bills. He was promoted after he was their offensive pass game coordinator when Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator. So he's been there for a minute. He obviously was part of the 2019 LSU Tigers national championship team when he was there with Joe Burrow and had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and that whole entire team. So he brings a strong offensive mind. You bring up a great point. It looks like Josh Allen got his way, the power struggle between him and Sean McDermott. And, now they're going to be a very offensive minded team. We'll see what happens with this one. I like the hire. It says that they want to go in an offensive direction, be more powerful in an attacking offense, especially with Josh Allen. He's going to be 28 years old this coming season. So, I mean, you got to get the very best out of Josh Allen while he's still young, under the age of 30. And this looks like a really good hire from within. And it looks like the Buffalo Bills are trying to be one of the powerhouse teams again in the NFL.
Yeah, there's just something that's been off in Buffalo. As good as they've been, good as Sean McDermott's been, and he's a really good coach, really good. They've done an excellent job there, and Josh Allen. But it's just for some reason, and I can't put my finger on it. Now, I'm not in the building. I'm not around all these people all the time. I'd probably have a good idea of what's going on if I was there. But it's just your spidey sense, your intuition, body language, watching the whole situation. It just feels like there comes a point for the Buffalo Bills when things just kind of seem to implode. And it really felt like this was their year. Early on in the season, they win some big games, they're on a roll, and then it just got weird. And they started losing games they should have had no business losing. It got weird toward the end. The statements between the owners and the coach and the whole situation, it just didn't feel like things were really right there ever, even as good as it was. So you have this great quarterback, and you just get, I'm sure as an ownership, you just say, we need to make sure he's in the very best position to really get his place, because quarterbacks are just they just move the needle so much on the success of franchises, and you've got a guy that moves the needle. So we'll see what happens. Now you get your wish, as you're Josh Allen. You better perform. You better hope you have the pieces in place so you can. So this will be a fascinating thing to watch happen, because Buffalo is just. They're there, they're a team that's you just got to go. They're going to compete to go to a Super Bowl next year and in the foreseeable future. And can they get it done? Well, we'll see if that works. Speaking of head coaches, and Mike Vrabel to me is just so fascinating as a coach, and to see the turnaround that he's made as a coach, it just, to me, is just I love it. Right. And he has an opportunity to do something that's never been done before. And that's to go and win the Super Bowl as a player and a coach. There have been 105 players that have become coaches throughout the history of the NFL. The other one that was close was Gary Kubiak. Of course, he was a quarterback for the Broncos in the years that they had their heartbreaking losses. And then he won a Super Bowl with the I believe it was with the Broncos later on when they did win the Super Bowl. So he lost and won one. So Vrabel has a chance to actually win a Super Bowl as both, which is a remarkable thing to me. And it's interesting, the number of players, I guess, former players in the NFL who have gone on and been coaches. And I think the question to me that's fascinating is what does it take for a former player? Because it feels like, I don't know that they're always the superstars on the team, but it seems like the maybe role players, position players. Vrabel, was a linebacker for whatever reason. Linebackers tend to be good head coaches. What does it take for a former player to become a very successful head coach? I'm curious your thoughts on that, Mark.
I think it takes a lot of understanding of how to be a coach. I guess, a lot of things that head coaches look for, how to strategically be good at the X's and O's. How do we get the team to play the right way? How do we keep them on schedule? With all this, setting plays up now these days, going off or on script. To me, Mike Vrabel has done exactly what I think most head coaches should do, which is be a coach's, a coach's a player's coach, is I switched my words around in my own head, is that, the culture he set up in Tennessee, him, thriving and being in practice. I mean, he's involved in drills. He's not just involved with linebacker drills. He's involved with, being on the defensive line. He's, having the punching bags on him strapped up. He's, getting the players warmed up and ready. Some of the, pregame and in meetings segments that were leaked by the Patriots on their YouTube page showed how much he really drove the energy of what it's like to be a New England Patriot. And I think, we talk about it so much with coaching trees, right, Scott? Who comes from the Nick Saban coaching tree? Who comes from the Bear Bryant coaching tree, or from all these other coaching trees, right? Bill Belichick's coaching tree has not produced another winning head coach in a Super Bowl at all. All of them have failed in some way, shape, or form. And it took a player that was a linebacker and also played some fullback for him to, understand what it's like to be a Bill Belichick 2.0. He goes to Tennessee. He builds that team back up. He has the power struggle with the GM. The GM won. He gets fired. And then he goes to New England and he rebuilds what Bill Belichick set up. Do your job. Play simple football. Run the ball. Pass the ball. Play strong defense. Embrace the, Foxborough mentality, the cold, the wind, the struggle, what it's like to live up there. And honestly, he has done a phenomenal job. I think what it takes to be a good head coach from a former player's perspective is understanding what it takes to translate the mentality you have from as a player and what you want, all that energy and drive, and to be a smart leader and to communicate and to tell your players, hey, listen, the way I played, the way I thought the game should be played is the way we're going to play it now these days, and I'm going to teach you what that was.
It is hard to live in New England, but they have lobster. They have lobster. They have the clam chowder. And it's New England.
Hey, but they have 200 feet of snow every from October until February. I mean, you can't even get out of your own driveway at times.
But they have lobster.
They do have lobster. You brought up that stat with Mike Vrabel. I'm gonna challenge that for a minute here. I know you're gonna go, oh, come on, Martin, but
challenge what stat?
I think Mike Ditka won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. I think that was like Super Bowl 7 or something. And obviously he does it with the 85 Bears. So I don't
make these stats up. I'm
gonna say that, okay? Yeah. I'm just saying. I think
I know you love Ditka, and I know you love the Bears and all that stuff. Go look it up.
I'm just saying.
It's a good point though, but I don't believe they won a Super Bowl with Ditka.
But I mean, if Vrabel does it, I just think, Scott, he's Bill Belichick 2.0. I think he embraced everything Bill Belichick taught him. He saved it in his own mind. And when the right moment came along for him to go back to Foxborough and to teach exactly what Bill Belichick did in the modern game, I think he's done a phenomenal job in New England.
Yeah. So you have a decent number of former players that are coaching now. You think of Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell was a former player,
Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh
Campbell
was a former, Todd Bowles, and some more. And I'm always fascinated by this, and I really like Mike Vrabel, but the fascination to me is some guys don't pan out to be really good coaches, and I'm not sure why. There's all this speculation is, as a coach, you put in so much time, like it's an insane amount of time, and there's this perception that the players are kind of a little bit whiny, a little bit prima donna. They're just trying to drag stuff out of the players to get them to do things, and it's like, I don't want to come in on my day off. I don't want to come in and any longer than I have to, but the players have a tremendous commitment to being players. They the work ethic and the preparing their bodies, and just in all facets of how that's done. Preparing, studying for games and understanding what they need to do. It's a lot of work. But so there's this perception, I think, that the players are not, a former player's not willing to put in the time that a coach would put into it. And then you have coaches that could be threatened by having a former player around, because a former player walks in the door and immediately everyone wants to listen to him because they understand the game. Like I've been there, I've done that. I know what what it is to be a player, and so they have a unique perspective, and yet there's this ability to kind of do it is one thing, to teach it quite often can be a different thing. And so to be a good teacher, to be a good communicator, to be a good, isn't necessarily a skill set that a former player has or doesn't have. And I'm just always fascinated by, should the league, because you look in the NBA and there's a lot of former players that end up going and being coaches. And I don't know so much. It doesn't feel like as many players coach in the NFL that are former players, and it I think of my time with all the coaches I had. Very few coaches were actually former players, and one of the few that was a coach I could hardly stand, and I just like, this guy's not a good coach, and at least for me it wasn't, and it just didn't work out. But and then you look at some of these people like John Elway, you look at John Lynch and some of these. Now it's kind of interesting. I mentioned both those guys went to Stanford, so maybe they're just really smart people. I don't know, but Ozzie Newsome and some of these former players, and Ozzie was a great player, and John were as well, and they go in the front office and they're remarkable executives and do tremendous things, and really, from the perspective. So I'm not sure what the formula is, and I'm not sure. I guess my concern is, could there be more former players that play, and are they held back because there's some resentment? It's unfair because a lot of coaches have to go through quite a process to get to be a coach. They have to go coach, and they're constantly moving around in some podunk place out in the middle of nowhere, and then they kind of work themselves up into these situations, and then they get in with the right coach and the right. Mike McDonald is a perfect example of that. His ascent to becoming a head football coach is pretty remarkable, and so, and maybe there's some value in that, maybe the value of really learning, but there's also some value as a player who, look, I've come from the perspective of a player. I understand the structure of practice, the whole, just kind of all the things you need to know, but also the mindset. I think that's the thing that's most impressive to me about both these coaches in the Super Bowl is how they've got these players to believe. And that's that communication part. That's that leading part. I think that's the thing Dan Campbell did such a remarkable job in Detroit, is getting players to buy into and believe what you're doing. And that's coaching. And so I don't know if you need to be a former player or not for that, but it's certainly something that's paramount to your success. All right. You got another comment there, Martin?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I agree with all of that. Depends on where you start and how far and how high you're gonna climb the ladder. And if you make it to head coach, you make it to head coach, and let's see if you can run the kitchen.
Yeah. It's and then there's some coaches that don't make good head coaches. They're really good assistants, but they're not really good head. So it's fascinating to see kind of where and how these coaches evolve and the success they, like Don Shula won more games and he was a former NFL player, was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the early 50s. So, played a little bit in the NFL, but was known more as a coach. So, all right, we'll take a break, a short one. So stick around. I got some crazy stats for you right around the corner when the Down and Dirty returns.
You probably get unwanted emails almost every single day.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Have you ever wondered why so many pet parents are choosing to have virtual vet appointments? Online veterinary care is making it easier than ever to get expert advice for your pet. Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns and expand access to pet care. Book your first appointment today.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty here with Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join us on our show. I just need to clarify something from our previous segment, and I may have misspoken. And I got the ire of Martin, which you don't want to have. Martin's ire is just an ugly thing, and especially when it relates to the Bears or anything that's not the Chicago Cubs. So for clarification purposes, Mike Vrabel will be the first person who, if he wins the Super Bowl, will have won it for the same team, not a former player who's actually gone and won a Super Bowl, because his comment about Ditka was accurate, and he was an assistant with the Cowboys, and he was a player for the Bears. Well, did he play for the Cowboys too?
Yeah, he did. He played. It was Super Bowl 7 that they won over the Miami Dolphins. That's when the Dolphins.
And he was a player then.
Yeah, he was a player. Yeah, tight end.
So it's for the same team, and so the only other one was Gary Kubiak, who had the shot and he didn't. So I may have misspoken, but I want to clarify things so you all know that I'm not giving you false information. Anyways, there you have it. Okay, I want to get into some of this stuff. We got some crazy stats that I always love, and they're just so fascinating from. So Larry Fitzgerald has more career tackles, right? Of one of the best all-time great wide receivers, has more career tackles. Think about this: 41. Then he has drops. He's only dropped a ball 29 times.
Wow,
isn't that crazy? Like in an entire career, like that's a guy that you can depend on right there. Tom Brady never played a regular season game in his whole career when his team was mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
Okay.
In his whole career, that is staggering. I mean, the guy played into his 40s, and he basically the team basically was always in the hunt for the playoffs all the way through his entire career. Okay, Ryan Fitzpatrick, you know who he is, the bearded wonder from Harvard. At 37 years old, was the Miami Dolphins rushing leader at 243 yards in 2019.
Wow,
it's a bad year when your quarterback leads, unless you're like a team like with Lamar Jackson or some of these other guys, but. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't know that he would be known necessarily as this running quarterback. LaDainian Tomlinson scored 198 points in his 2006 MVP season. The Raiders, as a team, scored 168 points. Isn't that insane? Like, I would hate to be on the losing end of that. Now, there's a statistic that for whatever reason, I just thought this was cool. And it wasn't a statistic. I was in Well, it was for the Cleveland Browns. So for years, I held the distinction as having the longest interception return for a touchdown. So Najee Mustafa intercepted the first pass in 1993 when I was playing for the Miami Dolphins. First play I played, he returned it for a touchdown. Now we came back in that game, we won the game, and in the first game I played in the NFL, I was the player of the week in the first game. So, but for years I don't know, Martin. I just always found that to be kind of cool that I was in the Cleveland Browns record book. Not for a good reason.
Now there's some homework for me. I'm going to find Najee and see if we can get him on the show.
Do it.
Yeah, let's do that.
I would love it. Yeah. Yeah, because I'd love to walk through that play and see what happened. Yeah, there you go. That's your homework assignment right there.
Okay.
Jackson Smith and Jigma in 2025 recorded, this is crazy, more deep receiving yards. Now, I don't know what deep means, but 382 than 24 qualified NFL starting quarterbacks had in deep passing yards. So by himself, he was on the receiving yards of more than 24. 24. That's almost all of the quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, the analytic stat nerds are just running their computers trying to find any number and every number to prove why their players are the best.
Jackson Smith and Jigma.
Their electricity bill must be sky high if they're spending all that time on the computers.
Kansas City Chiefs finished the 2014 season without a single touchdown catch by a wide receiver.
Travis Kelce had a fun year that year, man. Was the best receiver on that team.
I guess they threw the ball to the tight end all the time. Was Travis around in 2014?
He was. Yeah.
Wow. Must have been a young pup back then. Kurt Warner, this is a fascinating one. Only played a full 16-game season 3 times in 12 years. So his 12-year career, he only played a 16-game season 3 times, but ended up making it to 3 Super Bowls. So maybe the 3 times that he was healthy was when they actually made it to the Super Bowl. So if Kurt Warner is healthy, he's basically going to the Super Bowl. That's it. All right, here's a crazy one. Cam Newton. We all know who Cam Newton is. His first 2 career games are his only 400-yard passing games of his career.
Oh, wow.
His first 2 games. Imagine your first 2 games in the NFL, you throw for 400-plus yards. Now, this one, if I said to you, Mark Sanchez, what do you think of immediately?
Butt fumble. I mean,
exactly.
Butt fumble.
Like it's 100% of what you're thinking. His career postseason pass rating is 94.3. Tom Brady's career postseason is 89.8, which surprised me. Seems like it should be higher. And Peyton Manning's is only 87.4. So Mark Sanchez now, how many times to get to the postseason? Maybe it was once. I don't know. And no, it's a little bleeding stat there because you're taking Tom Brady and Peyton Manning all day long. Yeah. The 1940 championship, the Chicago Bears, your beloved Bears, probably the last time they did anything remarkable.
Oh, wow.
Washington Redskins 73-0. Both teams had the same number of first downs. 7.
I do know this stat. This is a legendary Chicago Bears stat everybody knows in the city because it's the biggest blowout win still in NFL history as well.
Yeah. Couple of defensive ones before we let everyone go here. Rod Woodson, Paul Krause Paul Krause, by the way, has the all-time interception lead. We've talked about Paul Krause before, 81. Rod Woodson is the only closest modern day player, and Rod Woodson was phenomenal, former teammate. 71.
Ooh.
Here's one. This is another crazy one. The 99 Jacksonville Jaguars went 14-2, but all 3 of their losses, including the playoffs, were to the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh.
Yeah, if they just didn't play the Titans, they would have gone to the Super Bowl. What the heck? All right, we hope you have had a tremendous time here on the Down and Dirty. We do this every day. Check us out, like us, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Have a great and wonderful day. And until then, We'll see you then.